Thank you. So yeah, so that's it. That you have it, guys. Are you guys getting a lot of nuggets? Because this is just amazing. And the amazingness is not even close to being done because we have our next speaker that is on the line that is ready to pour into us. Miss Marilyn Slinkman. Miss Marilyn, how you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I am great. Just taking over WEN channel for my girl Haley, and it's an honor. And I'm so excited to hear what you have for us today. So feel free, take it away.
Well, thank you for having me. You are doing a great job. I will introduce myself. I'm Marilyn Slinkman. I am a entrepreneur. My company is 20 years old, so I guess I have survived the bumps and the bruises. I'm a retired IT executive, and I'm a big storyteller. So I'm going to tell you a little story today. It's a true story, and it is something that happened to me as a little girl that has affected me through my entire life, which is a long time. So, a little background, I grew up in Queens, New York, and I am one of two kids. I grew up very, very poor. I lived in a building that had middle class families, but we were struggling because my dad was very, very ill and had cancer and couldn't work for a long time. And my mom worked in the city. And so my older sister was kind of like a mom for me. And I tried very hard to excel at things and be good at things. And I really didn't do well in school, but I had an opportunity to go to a girls' camp that was very prestigious for 3 summers. And the summer that I was 11 years old, which was, I'm not going to tell you the year, it would age me, but the summer that I was 11 years old, I was absolutely determined to do something good and excel at something. I was away from the school environment, but this camp was populated by upper middle class kids, and everyone knew that I was the charity kid. I didn't have the clothes that they had, I didn't have the equipment that they had, I didn't even have opportunities that they had. But because of my the way I was dressed, and I was a little unkempt at that time, the girls figured it out. My peer group knew right away that I was the charity kid. So about halfway to 3/4 of the way into camp, we had a parents' day, and there were lots and lots of events that were going to take place. It was a girls' camp, and it was about 2 hours away from where I lived. Well, my very ill dad made it a point to drive to watch the events of Parents' Day. And I had to do some planning ahead of time because I didn't have tools, I didn't have resources. So they were going to have a fishing contest. And I didn't have a fishing pole. A lot of these girls had poles and all the little boxes and the little vests. I didn't have any of that. So I had to come up with an idea. So for about a week, every night and every day after our meals, I would confiscate, I'm using that word generously, a couple of slices of bread, and I would tuck them away. I would hide them in my little trunk, and I built up a week's supply of bread. Well, it was getting very, very close to the big day, and I needed tools besides the bread to fulfill my mission. So I went to the chow hall manager and I asked him if I could have a couple of margarine bowls, and they looked something like this. So he was very generous, gave me two margarine bowls, butter bowls, and I washed them out and I dried them and I took care of them. And the big day comes, it's Parents' Day. I knew my dad was out in the crowd somewhere. There were about 200 campers in my age group. This was a huge camp. And we were all assembled at the lake on the dock, and the girls are lining up for this contest that I wanted to enter. And they got their poles and they got their worms and their can of corn, and everybody's dressed to the nines. And I came in my little t-shirt and shorts, and I had my bowls and I had my bread. And the girls spent an enormous amount of time getting ready for this contest. So they marked the start of the contest by blowing a horn. They blew it, and the girls started trying to get the worms or the corn on their hook, and I laid face down onto the dock with my head hanging over the dock, with my bowls in my hand and a piece of bread in my mouth. And I would lean over and I would drop the piece of bread, and the fishy would come up to get it, and I would get him in the bowls just like that. And I put it in my bucket, which had water in it. And then I'd put the bowl down, put another piece of bread in my mouth, and then capture the next fish intact, unharmed, in the bowls, dump it in my bucket. Well, after the 5-minute time, some of the girls were still trying to bait their hook, get it cast off. Some of the girls maybe had a fish. Many girls had no fish because all the fish were coming to me who was dropping bread one after another. Well, I got 30 fish in 5 minutes and I won that contest. And I remember distinctly the camp counselors came over to me and held my hand, my arm up straight up so that everybody knew I was the winner. They were in awe. And I remember I turned around and looked for my dad in the crowd, and I spotted him in a beach chair. And he was just in shock, as were many of the parents, that a kid that didn't have the tools to get the job done won the contest. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does this have to do with her adult life? Well, I had to think outside the box. I had to think about something where I could get resources that weren't traditional. I had to think about, how am I going to execute this? I had to develop a plan. It gave me confidence winning that contest. It gave me courage, which I already had, but I didn't know I had it. And it gave me clarity that, hey, I'm not that little, poor underachiever. I used my brain power and a few things to get a job done and to excel. And I will tell you, that experience stayed with me my entire life. It helped me know that no matter how difficult the task, there might be an untraditional way to solve the task, to get it done, and not necessarily follow the crowd. So in my professional career, it served me very, very well. In my personal life, it served me well. And that is how I'm going to tell you that: think outside the box. Don't care about what anybody else says or comments, or they want to put in their 2 cents. You go with your gut. You go with whatever idea comes in your head. And as a means to an end, I retired from a very lucrative career at one of the top IT companies here in the Triangle. And I gave it all up to become a starving artist because making jewelry is my jam. And this is what I love to do. And so I am in my studio right now, which is in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook. I have a Facebook group. Got lots of customers. I've been doing jewelry for 20 years. And I teach at various venues around the Triangle at every level, and have lots and lots of friendships that have been born out of my business. And people trust me to design certain things for them for special occasions, bridal. They put their trust in me, just like my customers put their trust in me when I was a professional IT person. They put their trust in me to do the right thing, to think outside the box, to be creative. And I got to tap into that creative side about 20 years ago. Didn't even know I had it, just took up jewelry making as a hobby. And now it's what I do every day, and I love it. So they say, do what you love and the rest will follow. And I have to agree with that. I make my own hours. There is so much to be said. I risked it all, and I'm still here 20 years later. So, couple of ways to reach me. You can find me on Facebook, personal, Marilyn Slinkman. You can find my business group, which is very, very active, under Carolina Pearl LLC. And I'm on Instagram on Carolina Pearl LLC. and a couple of other places, but I don't post much. I do have a website, carolinapearl.com, which, by the way, Haley built for me. Yay! She did a great job. She captured my vibe, and everything about my business is incorporated into that phenomenal website. And I'm open to taking any questions anyone might have. I am a pearl specialist. I'm actually a certified pearl specialist. I went to school to become one, and I'm a designer, and I make one of a kind. Nothing is identical. So if you get a piece from me, no one else is going to have it, which begs me to be more creative and more creative and more creative because I don't mass produce. So hit me up if you have any questions, comments. I can't see the comments right now, but I'm very interested to hear and see them. That's
Wow.
me in a nutshell. Go for it is my motto. Go for it.
Well, first off, I just have to say, you were dropping pearls this whole time.
Thank you.
So it was really great to hear your story, and the fishing story was phenomenal because who would ever think to do something like that? And when you talk about thinking outside of the box, if that was in the dictionary, I believe that your picture would be right next to it.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
because we all have to step outside of the box sometimes, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes we're afraid of stepping outside of the box. So I say, just throw the whole box away. Why do we need a box anyway, right?
Well,
And so,
fear is a big motivator.
yeah,
It is a big motivator. You don't realize it because you're inundated with negative when you're fearful, but
yeah,
it's actually a motivator.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it was my pleasure. I share this story as frequently as I can because it is a true story.
yeah,
But I left that camp a changed young lady. I really did. I changed in many, many ways, especially the confidence factor.
yeah.
And I have been accused of being overly confident now. I'm sorry, I thought I turned it off.
No,
Sorry
that's
about
okay.
that.
It sounds like that moment really changed your life and your trajectory, and it really taught you how to interact with people in the world around you when it comes to problem solving. And it showed you at a young age how you can go in and win. And when I
Yeah.
say win, not WEN, I'm talking about WIN,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
we win here at WIN. And one of the things that I did also want to just throw out there is I love the fact that you said that Haley built your website.
Yeah.
And as everybody knows, Haley is a master of digital marketing as well as website design. And she has a whole entire team that gets together and really works to capture the essence of everyone's personality, their goals, and their vision of what it is that they really want their business to look like to customers and to clients and things of that nature. So I think that that's really awesome. And for those of you who are in business and you might still be looking for a website, Marilyn's in love with her website. I
Oh
highly
yeah.
recommend that they get in touch with Haley. Would you also say the same thing, Marilyn?
Yeah, and I wanted to add something, and
Yeah,
it's
sure.
critical to my success with my website. Before I met Haley and hired her, I hired the wrong company. And they built a website for me which was totally non-functional. It was half baked at best. It had lots of problems in the coding, deep buried into the coding, and it never worked. And unfortunately, I paid them everything before it was completed because it was Christmas time and they had young kids. And I fell into that, oh my gosh, I want them to have a good Christmas. So I was left with a product that totally did not work. And I started interviewing web developers, and I kept Haley's card in my back pocket, and it was gnawing at me. And she and her team took over a horrific project.
Yeah.
I know she's probably kicking herself right now because it was a mess. They made my website look like it was from Tiffany's, and that is not my vibe. My vibe is cool, casual, coastal. That's it. And she captured it all, even down to the color scheme.
Yeah.
So if you if you have yourself in that situation, don't be embarrassed. We all make mistakes. It took me a couple of months to make that decision to hire the right person. So I give her accolades all day long for fixing a nightmare.
Well, we know that Haley's one of the best people when it comes to fixing nightmares, and maybe we need to get a hashtag going. Haley fix this. Uh,
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Well,
but yeah, for those people who are interested in checking out your website, it is carolinapearl.com. Is that correct?
yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook all day long. So please don't forget. Find me personally, Marilyn Slinkman. I love to connect with other businesswomen, entrepreneurs. Socially, I've made so many friends through these mediums, and also Carolina Pearl LLC on Facebook. I have a group. You won't get spammed. I would love to have more folks on board. And yeah, this has been a great ride, I have to say. And the next time we do this, I have another story to tell how I came upon the company name, but that's for another day. It's a great story.
Well, we can't wait to hear it, and we will be connecting with you, Marilyn.
Great.
Thank you so
Great.
much for
You're
sharing
welcome.
that wonderful story and for the pearls that you dropped about storytelling and thinking outside the box, and then finally doing what you love to do.